Hey there guys, I'm John Campea, and this is my quick review of the new documentary film, Poop Talk. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, you know I don't often review films that aren't wide release films, but this company got a hold of me and said, hey, we got this movie called Poop Talk, and we will pay you to watch it and review it. And I've never been paid to review a movie before, so I said to them, well, okay, but two things. One, I'm gonna give my honest opinion about it, and number two, I have to tell my audience that I'm getting paid for it just to be upfront with them. And they got back to me and said, yeah, absolutely, you do that. We just really believe in this movie and we want to get the word out about it. So I agreed. I've told you guys up front, you know the disclaimer. Now let's talk about Poop Talk. You know what? I was really skeptical about it, but I watched it and you know, it's pretty damn good. The basic idea of Poop Talk is actually very simple, but rather profound when you think about it. It's just sitting down with a bunch of comedians and a couple of doctors. Comedians like, you know, Adam Carolla, Kumail Nanjiani, Aisha Taylor, who stars as one of the voices in my favorite animated show right now, Archer. You got Randy and Jason Sklar. You got Nick Swardsden. You've got Paul Scheer. You got Rob Corddry. You got Eric Stonestreet from Modern Family. It's just this big weird collection of comedians and a few doctors along the way sitting down and talking about poop. And the odd social stigma, like, here's one of the weird things that they bring up quite often in the movie, and you don't really think about this much until you're watching this documentary. Pooping and taking a dump is something every single human being does, you know, notwithstanding some people who may have some kind of really odd, serious medical condition. Like literally 5 minutes before I did this review, I took a dump. And it's the oddest thing that even though it is a shared common human experience that regardless of your sexual orientation, your race, your nationality, your gender, whatever, we all poop, and yet it seems to be the one thing that's got such a huge stigma to it that none of us will talk about. We'll talk about sex, we'll talk about anything else, we'll talk about orgasms, but we do not feel comfortable talking about pooping, and that's kind of the whole gist of what this documentary is about. From a sociological point of view, they do kind of analyze a little bit, where does this stigma from? What are some of the root causes of pooping being the thing that we just don't like to talk about? Even comedians on stage, for the most part, feel a little bit uneasy to talk about pooping. Where does that sociological imperative come from that we feel weird about talking about that? They go into that quite a bit. But the most entertaining parts of this movie, and this is the majority of it, is just these various comedians, these human beings, telling stories about poop experiences or their phobia of poops. Some of the best stuff in this movie actually is Modern Family's Eric Stonestreet talking about his real phobia of ever pooping in public. Like, he does not like to poop in public, no matter what, no matter where, and going in about that. Different people telling stories about their worst poop stories. And let's face it, all of us got some kind of horrible poop story. And despite the fact that it's really funny and it's kind of insightful in many ways, what I found really refreshing about sitting down and watching it, and it's only about 70 minutes long, but what really kept me watching it was the very fact that this is something we don't talk about, and sitting down, listening to this group of people who are doing it in a very funny way, just talking about these experiences. Half of the stories I could totally relate with, and you will probably totally be able to relate with them too, was really, I'll use the word again, refreshing. It was entertaining and it was engaging, and it's just something that I've never really seen in any kind of a movie, narrative, or documentary before. Look, the bottom line for me is that this little documentary, Poop Talk, which is a perfect title for the movie, after all, that's really what it all is. It's engaging, it's fun, it's insightful because you're talking about things you never really think about an awful lot. It also really gets you in touch with this whole idea that, hey, this is a shared human experience. The comedians are very funny. And just overall, it's a really good experience watching it. And I actually really enjoyed this thing. Poop Talk is available online to be viewed as of today, Friday, February the 16th. I'm going to put a link in the description below to the iTunes link where you can go and check it out. I highly recommend that you do. But the big question here is, guys, have you had a chance to watch Poop Talk already? If so, what did you think? If you haven't seen it, what's your funniest poop story? Jump down to the comments section and let's just be open and honest with everybody right now. Listen, guys, while you're here, why don't you take a second, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me on social media, simply at John Campea. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.